Hi, this is Kelly from Mazda Gurus. I wanted to do a range of videos on how to use your new car. So if you have bought a new car, currently new or used, you are finding in the UK there are some restrictions on what your salesperson is able to do for you. We're not allowed in the car with you, and usually I would sit with customers for quite some time to go through the controls. So I wanted to do a little video on how to use, this one is a CX-5, just so that it might give you a better idea if you're not able to have that salesperson sit with you. We were hoping that me and Tom would do these together, and then it was pointed out by Helen once again we weren't allowed to be that close in a car. So unfortunately you won't see me so much on camera, but I'm just going to be pointing to the things that you can do, just to give you an overview. So the video will be a bit longer, skip through the bits that you already know, but just to try and give you a general overview. Then if you have got any specific questions, post them under the video and we'll try and get back to you, just so that you're getting more out of your car and you know what's there. So I'm currently sat in a CX-5. This one is a 19 plate and is a sport nav. So sport nav means that you've got the leather trim. You've got this is a petrol, so it's got a sunroof. But again, you'd still be able to use this video if you've got an SEL nav. And it doesn't really matter what engine, but again, it will just give you a general overview. So I actually usually start over on the passenger side with a handover. Just to say that for most cars, and before you buy one, or if it's a new car, you'll definitely have it, but usually the manuals are in the glove box, so you usually have a little case like this. Now there is a thing with Mazda called Call Mazda First. So Call Mazda First is if you have an accident, if you give Mazda a call, they will get you recovered and take you to a Mazda approved body shop. Mazda is super keen on this. They like repairs to be done with Mazda approved parts, because it can cause you issues if it's not. And so it's well worth keeping that number. You can also get down to the Mazda Assist number through that number, so it's quite a handy card to have. In your manuals booklet you have some things. So you have information on warranty and servicing. Just a reminder for everyone that Mazda's service history is digital, so you will not have a book to be stamped. Then you have a reference guide. A manual is not for me, it's not my funniest thing, but if you like them, it is there, and there is a full manual online which it will refer you to, just because Mazda's manuals used to be so heavy, I think they affected the MPG, so they've tried to streamline it a little bit. Some information on servicing. Again, all Mazdas are every 12 months or 12,500 miles. This one on the slightly older, like MZD Connect systems, is a really handy little booklet to have a read of how to use your Bluetooth and voice control and all that kind of thing. Change your heads-up display. So that one is well worth a read, mainly because it's not very long. And then that is about it for all we need in those. So that manual should be in your glove box. Sometimes dealers put it in the boot, for us we put it in the glove box. Also, what lives in this glove box is a locking wheel nut. I have to say it is not the safest place for it. Where you want to put it is in your boot underneath the floor. It is needed if you've got a puncture. We need to remove the wheel, and when you have a service. So always make sure you know where it is. They're a pain to replace, but ours live in the glove box until the customer has the car, but I would again very much recommend putting it in the boot. So to start from the beginning, to start the car, all the cars have a push button start, which means in a manual you're going to have to pop your clutch in, press the button, and the car comes to life. With an auto, you are just pressing your foot on the brake, and then that will start. All you have to do to turn it off is just press it again and it will turn it off. But you do need your clutch in. If people haven't had a start-stop car before, it's probably one of our most asked questions once they get home. They'll think the car's not starting, but it's just because you haven't put your clutch in. So we'll start actually in the centre console. Here we have this is where your SD card lives for your sat nav. 2 USB ports, an auxiliary port and a power outlet. Now the SD card, if you want to update your maps, if your car is less than 3 years old, you can pop this into a computer, create an account with Mazda, and it will, if there is an update, it will update the maps for you. This is not done with the dealer, so it is something you have to do, and I would say about 60% of customers never bother, which is absolutely fine, but it's just to say that for you, that's where you do it if you want it. You've got 2 cup holders, then you've got your control commander system. So this controls this screen when you're driving along. So you turn it, select down, you push it down. This one does your volume. Now, so this little star is so that you can select favourites or bring your favourite options up, which we'll show you in a bit. This one's to get you to your radio or Bluetooth music. This gets you to the home screen, sat nav, and this is your back button. The newer CX-5s have an electric handbrake and then auto hold. Auto hold will only engage once you've shut the front door and put your seatbelt on. Once you've done those things, if you press auto hold, it will light up and stay lit. If, like me, I haven't got my seatbelt on at the moment, it will just flash to say that it's not going on properly. The reason for auto hold is that when you come to a stop, as in traffic lights or anyway, you're stopping traffic, then if you put your foot on the brake hard enough, you'll get a little green sign that comes up on the dash. It usually comes up around here, I think, maybe here, but it will say hold, and that means that the car is applying its front brake and holding you, so that if you were on here, you wouldn't roll back. If as and when you turn the car off, on the newer models, essentially that will then engage the full rear handbrake and you'll feel that go on. We have to say, obviously, it is important just to check, because you'll get a handbrake sign, which is this little thing here, that will come on. It is always the owner's responsibility to check that that has engaged. Otherwise you will get out your car and it's not got a handbrake. So it's always worth checking. You can just pull the handbrake up. If you wanted to use the electric handbrake manually, to release it, you put your foot on the brake and press it down. And if you, the sensors are going off, pull it up and go back on, you can actually hear it go on and feel it in the brake as well. With the manual, you've got 6 gears, and your reverse is a push down and across. So that's how you do that. The auto is fairly self-explanatory. Then we have the heating controls. So because I'm in a sport nav, I do have a heated steering wheel, which will light up here. This will heat this part of the steering wheel, not up the top, but just on the sides. Is one of my favourite options, but that's there for you. You have heated seats, so that will do the passenger side. Your driver's side is over here, and you can have 3 powers for those. You've got your heating control, so aircon. At the moment we're on aircon eco. There are 2 aircons, so that means there's no aircon. There's full aircon, and then there's a slightly lesser powered aircon which uses less fuel. This one I tend to use. You've then got your fan speeds, where you would like the air to go, and then you can change the temperature. So you've got dual zone climate control. You can change it, and it is independent of each side, so you can have a different temperature on that side. If you press sync, it will sync both of them up so they're both the same. If you press auto, it will get it to the temperature you've set it at as quickly as possible and then keep it at that temperature. I don't tend to use auto so much, I have to say, but I know lots of people do. You can turn the whole thing off with the power button. This one brings air in from outside. This one recirculates the air. This, I was advised, is really good if you're in heavy traffic or any kind of traffic where you're sat behind a car for any one time. It is best to pop this on to help improve the air quality in the car. And then you've got demist your front screen, demist your back screen. So at the moment, this one is just telling me that the passenger airbag is off. These tend to go off once you're driving along. I don't know if it thinks someone's sat there. But yeah, you'll tend to find these are related to seat belts, and if they'll sense people's weight. But they'll generally go off once seat belts are on if they sense weight there. You've got hazards that sit up in the middle here. In those. Now it depends what model you have, but in this particular one there's still a CD player that sits up here. Now this is the infotainment system. This is kind of the hub of the car, and we're going to work our way through. If you're driving up to 5 miles an hour, it still is available in touchscreen, but once you get over 5 miles an hour, then you will have to use the command system. And obviously, because I've only got one camera, I can't show you how I'm changing this, but to go left, you turn left, to go right, turn right, and then press down to select. But this is how I'm going to show you through this system. So over on the left hand side you have applications. Applications have a fuel economy monitor, so you can see how the car is doing via its MPG, and it also tells you if its stop start is available or not. You then, just to say it again, if something's highlighted in red like this area here, that's generally, if you press select, what's going to light up. So if we press that, you can go over to some extra screens in this section, so you can grow yourself trees if you're driving very economically. Never appears on mine. And you can, if you love a graph, then you can have a fuel economy graph, which some people enjoy. But again, that's up to you. You then have a vehicle status monitor, so you have a warning guidance, so if the car is unhappy about anything like your tyre pressure, and this one's telling us we haven't got a lot of fuel, then, and sometimes the temperature, if your temperature is below 4 degrees, then that will show you in that section. Maintenance, we have done different things on maintenance, but Mazda would recommend that you rotate your tyres. They tend to do that every 6,000 miles. That would just help you get the most wear out of them. If you wanted to, dealerships will do that for you. It would also tell you when your next service is due. The only thing I would say is if you're picking up a brand new car, you want to just check that says 12 months or 12,500 miles, otherwise it'll be indicating for you to come for a service earlier. Tom has done a video to show you how to reset that if you need it, which is one of our last videos on there, so you can check that out if you'd like to. So we'll come out of applications and then we go into entertainment. So the little music note in the corner is how you find all your different entertainment. So you've got FM, AM. I generally live in a DAB world, so DAB is where I would go. Then, I've selected DAB. If I want to look at my stations, we go over to station list, and you can update the list. So if you're in a different area and you want to pick up local radio stations, you can do that. So you just turn the commander to the right to scroll down and find the radio station you like. So I love a little bit of Magic, so I can select Magic and on it will go. If you would like to create yourself a little favourites list so you're not having to scroll through the massive list, then you go to the star, select down, and we can add it to the favourites. That just means that, go down here, if you want to bring your favourites up again, you'll go back to this star, and that will bring this list up so that you can flick between your favourites. That is also true for music, but also phone contacts and sat-nav destinations. That makes life a little bit easier. So that's your DAB radio. Once you have a phone paired, you will also be able to see your phone in Bluetooth. So this is where you would switch over to your music if you're streaming via your phone. Or like my lovely customer, Mr. Gardner, had his iPad, which I'd never actually paired an iPad to the car before, but his music was on that. So that's where you would switch around these. If we then go to communication, so if we'd like to connect a phone, now I think we have done videos on connecting your phone, because I won't be able to pair a phone and do it on here, but you go to add new device. Then you will go to your settings in your phone, go to Bluetooth, go so that it's scanning for a new device, and then you'll see just the word Mazda. click on Mazda, and then the car and your phone will have a code and they will match. You'll press OK for those, and then your phone will be paired. It may ask you some more permissions about letting your what's the word, contacts go like paired to the car as well. But again, if you would like a video of this done in more detail, I'm sure we've got one on the site, but we can do it a bit more. You can cancel off if you've bought a used car and you want to cancel the settings that are in there. We can remove paired devices, so you've only got yours that are there. But I really, having Bluetooth now, I think is pretty standard for most people. It's a very easy system. It pairs up easily. It's very rarely troublesome, so that's handy. So that's where you would do your phone. Once a phone is paired up, there are more things that you can do with it, and also you can do on your steering wheel. So this button, you can answer the phone, this one to hang up. You can also use voice control through this one here. Do look at some of our other videos that will help explain a few bits like that in a bit more detail. This one is just supposed to be a bit more of a general overview to make sure you're not missing anything in particular. Sat-nav is a little bit different. If you've not had a Mazda nav before, it just takes a little while probably to sort of find your way around. So if you want to enter a new destination, we go to the flag with the plus sign, and we go to find address. You then need to go to town or postcode, and you can type it in. This is the time that you will find it easier to type than scroll around, but we can go, if we put in ours here, so we go to GL2 5EP. So it's finding Shepherd Road. Now you can either just press that or select it with the command system, but then you do have to go to navigate destination and press navigate to. If there was a house number available, that would have come up and allowed you to select that, and then you press start and away it goes. So here obviously we're at the destination, but it tells you how many miles and how long until you get there. This little arrow means that if you select it, it will give you some more options. So you can either put in a new destination or you can cancel that route. In the sat-nav, now this car is fun for if you just like sitting on your drive and playing with stuff, like this car has a lot to do with that. But you've got map settings, you've got guidance settings, so I call it Doris, so you can have Doris.
Navigation will be at this volume.
There she is. You can have her at any sort of volume you like. You can see your route settings. So it's worth just having a play and knowing that those things are there, but just how to cancel a route. You cancel it there. So again, quite a lot you can play with on that. One of my things that I go through probably most on handover is this section in the settings. So the newer cars, especially the Sport, have a heads-up display. So if you can see the 0 miles per hour floating, it's not the easiest thing to see. And there's a little circle, I don't know if you can see it here, which you would be able to tell you the speed of the road. Now you can adjust the height of what you're seeing there, so if you want it a bit further down so it's not so much in your view, or just depending on where your seat position is, it's well worth getting your seat position right before you adjust it. But if you want to adjust it, it's the first thing in those settings. So if we go back, you go into settings on the right hand side, and then you'll be able to see the display. So the height is the first one, so you select down on it and then move to the left or move to the right. So as I do that, we can watch this move depending on where you want it to be. So it will move around, and when you're at the right place, you press down and it will save it there. If you have it on the auto brightness, it does change it. If you were struggling with the brightness for any reason, because it will change when you have your auto lights on, so from day to night, if you wanted it brighter, you can go to a manual setting and then you can adjust the brightness yourself, but the majority of people have it on auto. Now, because we're in AD display here, if you want to go to display, you can either touch it or we can use the commander and push it. So when we push, it finds those different tabs. So display, you can turn off the whole display if you want. You can turn it off and just have the clock on if you find it distracting and you don't want it on. You can absolutely do that. Auto means that the brightness of this display is going to change depending on your auto lights. So your auto lights sit there, and so when your lights come on, they think it's dark enough, this will dim down, which means if you go through a tunnel or something like that, then this is going to go dark. It's not broken, it's just dimming down because it thinks you're in the dark, whereas actually it will just come back on as soon as you come out. Okay, so you can change the brightness and that of that screen if you like. So your safety section is where like your blind spot monitoring lives. So blind spot monitoring, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little shadow. I don't know if we can see it now. Little shadow in these boxes. Oh no, that's not very nice. You can just see me. So it's in this top right hand corner next to the line. I don't know if you can see it very well, but the shadow, that little shadow will go yellow when somebody's in your blind spot. It's very handy for motorway driving, but all the safety systems that this car has, you can have a little play with in here. So how sensitive they are, what your volume's like for them. So this is smart city brake support, so that's about the car stopping itself if it thinks you're going to hit something, which can be very handy. We've then got your blind spot monitoring, so again just the volume of how much that tells you. Lane keep assist, not my favourite safety feature by any stretch, but I understand lots of people love it. It's just where the car is going to vibrate or tell you then it's you're drifting out of lane. If you're not great at indicating, it can be a fairly frustrating safety feature. But traffic sign recognition system and driver attention alert, you can have a play with all of those things in that section. Sound, one thing people don't often know, so if you've got a Sport, you've got a Bose stereo system. So the Bose stereo system has some features called Centerpoint and Audio Pilot, which gives you sort of the optimum sound in the car. If you get a new car, often they cannot be selected, and it's just you're not getting anywhere near the quality that you should through your Bose stereo. So always go to your sound and always check that they are selected. You'll really be able to hear the difference. It is much better. Your clock is going to just sync because of your sat nav, so that will always be the correct time. You don't have to change it when the clocks change, which makes life easier for people. One of the other things that people like to do is change the door lock. So you can have it that the car locks when you walk away from it, which a lot of people like to have because you've got keyless entry, then it might as well lock. And the mirrors will fold in when it locks, so you can tell that it's locked. Again, we've got quite a few videos on door lockings and things. Devices is where you'll find your Bluetooth devices, so what is paired up to the car, so you can swap them around if you need to, and this is where you can change over to miles and kilometres if you're lucky enough to go abroad at the moment. So that is the main infotainment system, just to give you, like I say, a general overview. If anybody like any videos more in depth, then please say, and we'll be more than happy to do them. As we move over to sort of the cockpit of the car, your heads-up display, again, like I say, for the newer models, is a really handy thing. That's going to tell you sat-nav information if you want it to, the speed you're doing and the speed of the road, which is all very easy to see rather than having to dip your eyes down to here. But over here, it's not so good at the moment because we haven't got very much, but you can change information that you see here. If I can put that better in focus, there we go. So you, the info button here, if we press the info button, will change what you see on here. So you can see your trip. If you hold the button down, it will reset those for you. So you have trip A and trip B. And then you have when your service is due. That's to do with your lane departure warning if you want it on. and then how many miles you've got left of fuel. Obviously this car needs fueling, but that's where you'll see those, and like I say, that's controlled from the info button. On the left hand stalk you've got your indicators, you've got your lights, and you've got your fog lights. So for your fog lights to be on, they will not be sensed through auto. So I don't know if people know, but these little dots up here is what senses your light and darkness for your auto lights, and when it's wet, it's on the outside. But they can't sense fog. So if you want to put your fog on, you turn your full light on, and then, I don't know if you can see the lights, so that's one of my fogs, and there's the other one. And then we just have to turn them off. But then set them back to auto. I do like having auto lights, I think it makes life really easy. On the right hand side you've got your windscreen wiper. So the little arrow here means that if you just flick it up once, then it's just a little one flick. Then that position it's in now means it's off, and the next one down means auto. You can then decide how, like, the severity of the auto that you want on. The one on the end is for your rear wiper, and if you want to clean your windscreen, you just pull it towards you. So on the steering wheel itself we've got volume controls, so you can do here. If you'd like to chat to Doris, which is the voice control system, we can go with this now. So we press it.
Say a command.
Help.
At any time, you can skip voice guidance by pressing the talk button or cancel it by pressing the hang up button. Available commands are entertainment, communication, navigation, settings, applications, and favorites. Always available are go back, cancel, main menu, help, and tutorial. Please wait until after the beep for saying a command. Say a command.
So if you say tutorial, she will take you through step by step what she does, which is terribly handy. So like I say, I call her Doris. I probably only use her to call people in my contacts, but you can use her for much more, so it's worth having a go. On the right hand side of the steering wheel is to do with your cruise control. This car has radar cruise control, which is why we have the arrows here. So if you want to put your cruise control on, and I'm also going to show you, I don't know if you'll see it so much on the heads up display, but if I press on, we get a little sign. There's also one down here, so that's the sign that you're getting, just to say that you've pressed it on. Now you have to be doing over 25 miles per hour, but once you get over 25 miles per hour, if you press set at the speed that you want to do, then those light signs will go green, which means your cruise control is on. You can then adjust the distance between you and the car in front. So if you're doing 70 on the motorway and the car in front of you is slow down to 60, this car is going to slow you down automatically and keep a distance of what you've set between. I don't know if you can see, if I do that, press the arrows, I can change the distance I want. So when you're on the motorway you want it to be a bigger distance, and when you're just on A roads and things you want a smaller distance. Well worth having a go with radar cruise control. It's a great system, which is standard on them now, I think. Oh, yeah, everything radar is standard on CX-5 now on the new ones. Depending on the age of your car you buy it, is whether it will have radar. It didn't come in to maybe 2018 as standard, so just double check if that is something that you're after and you're buying a used one. So if we press cancel, that will disappear. Now, the adjustment on the steering wheel underneath here, I don't know if you see, is manual. It's probably easier over this side. But there is a little lever here, and you just press it down, and then you can press it back up if you want it on. Now, there are some buttons down here, depending on what you've got in the car. This is to turn your start-stop off. This is to turn your lane departure warning off if you don't want it. Traction control system, turn off. I don't really recommend it. It's well worth having on. View, if we press view, it's going to bring, this car has a 360 camera, so it's going to allow us to see out the front if we want to, which can be quite handy, but the cameras do engage when you go into reverse anyway. And then this light on means your parking sensors are on. If it was off, they will not engage, so you have to be very careful that nobody's switching them off. This button is to open your tailgate, so that if you're in the car and you want to open it for someone, you can just press that and it will do that. You've then got your controls for your mirrors. So this will move the right mirror at the moment. If we move it like a joypad, you can see it'll just move it up and down and left and right. If we wanted to move the left one, we would turn the dot to the left and do the same. You also then have the auto for your power folding mirrors. So if we press the down part of this button, it will fold the mirrors in, which they'll do naturally when it locks, but just if you're in a tight space. Now if you press it down, they'll open back up, but it does have to be level when you leave it, otherwise they may not fold in when you lock the car. This one locks the windows so no one can play with them. If you feel your window is not opening, check that this button isn't down, because that will just stop it. We get a few people coming in with that. Your windows, you press it down, it's got a one shot on the driver's side, and you pull it up. So down and then up on your windows. So easy enough. To lock the car from the inside, the newer ones will lock as you drive along, but if you just wanted to lock it yourself, you could pull that in. Also just want to show you the keys. At the moment this is an older style key, but this little bit down the bottom will turn off the internal alarm if you've got a dog in the car and you don't want it to set the alarm off. This one you hold down to open the boot, then you've got unlock and lock. So that is what, there is a newer style key as well, but again we've done videos on those. You have got a sunglasses holder, one of my favourite bits, all that technology in the world, and that's the great bit. And on the ones with the sunroof, again you can just press it once, sunroof will open, and then press again and the sunroof will close. Your petrol cap to open, so the last bit is there's the bonnet release and the petrol cap. Your petrol caps are usually on your left hand side, so there is a little arrow here just to remind you, but most Mazdas I think are all on the left hand side. But you can either pull your bonnet on the one on the right is for your petrol cap, so that is handy too. So I hope, I know it's a fairly long video for us, but I hope that just gives you a general overview. Just wanted to give a shout out to my customer, Mr. Gardner, who bought his CX-5 from me and took delivery on Friday. I'm sorry we couldn't sit in the car and show you all these things, but I hope this will have helped go through a few bits. If anybody would like anything more specific, especially now with the restrictions in place of what people can do, we're more than happy to do more videos to help. So I hope you're enjoying your new cars, and we'll see you soon.